Hi, I'm Brian Collins, author of Step Off the Porch and Start Your Own Business. There's 5 million new business licenses granted every year, and sadly, 25% of them don't make it past the first year. I'm here to change that. I can help you start your business and be successful. My podcast is going to walk you through all of that. Let's get started now. Hello, I'm Brian Collins. Step Off the Porch and Start Your Own Business. My little book on business is designed to help people. Here we are today. This is podcast 3, and this is on how to finance your business. When we started, we talked about the introduction of the concept of you starting your own business. Say this, your own business. Say it again, your own business. Doesn't that sound great? I love the sound of that. So we talked in the first intro section about all the things that you need to cover if you're going to start your own business. Then we jumped into how to start the business and the specifics of that in podcast 2. Today's podcast 3, we're going to talk about seed capital. In other words, you have a business idea or a product that you want to move forward. You've got a pretty good idea who's going to buy your product or service. Now we have to figure out how to fund the start of your product or service. And that's what we're going to talk about here in the next coming minutes. In a nutshell, once you've decided you have a business that you want to go forward with, there's a lot of things that you should be looking at, and I bring those out on my book, Step Off the Porch and Start Your Own Business, or you can see it at the number 6stepbiz.com, 6stepbiz.com. So today, seed capital for most small businesses, I'm going to eliminate things that aren't going to work for you at the start. The venture capital people out there that you see advertising, if you're starting a small business, and 80% of the 5 million businesses started every year in America are small businesses, and they employ 60% and create 60% of the new jobs every year. Those people that are starting these small businesses don't have assets in their business when they start, or very few. They don't have revenue coming in the door into the till right away when they're starting. So venture capital funds, angel investor funds, they're not going to apply to you because they only move forward just like a bank. They only move forward if you're going to give them assets to tie them up. So I'm going to have some conversations with you, the audience today, and Eric and Larry, who are with me in the showroom. So let's talk about seed capital. Hi, I'm author Brian Collins. When you have your new business idea, I can help you roll it out to its start. Use my 4 ventures in my business book. It covers ways to help you raise your starting capital. Go to 6stepbiz.com, the number 6stepbiz.com. Then give me your 3 answers to my first 3 starting questions, and I will reply. Thank you. Gentlemen, your initial comments, and then I'll just run you through what I see.
All righty. Well, this is probably one of the most important things, I think, to actually start your business, because the idea of it, the concept of it, the getting your partners to go along with you, I think that's the easy part. The harder part, I think, is the funding aspect. So I'm super happy that this is the topic for this episode. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good, Larry. Good, Eric. Nice talking to you guys again. And
Great talking to you.
So let me just jump right in. So the first thing you're going to run into is you're going to have a rough idea. Okay, to start this business, I need some seed capital, some startup capital. How can I get that? Okay, and for most people, you're going to be limited to probably about 4 venues. And I say that because I've started 4 businesses over 30 years. And I've had to start with my own funds and then go and find funds from other people. So I broke it down into 4 categories. So to start with, you're going to want to work with your family, your friends, and your associates, okay? You're going to ask your family, you're going to ask your friends, you're going to explain your business plan to them, your business concept to them. You're going to explain to them how you think the buying community, whether it's brick and mortar or online or some of this or some of that, are going to pick up your product and buy it from you when you have the product available. To put all that together, you're going to need some seed capital to get your business up and running. You may need to rent a garage or a storefront. You're going to have to hire staff. You're going to need some raw inventory, maybe some manufacturing equipment. Probably somebody, if you're not really skilled to handle your website, your software, your social media sites, and all those things, you're going to need some seed capital to get started. What I've always done in the past is go talk to your family, your friends, and your associates. Explain the idea to them, okay? And rule 5 and rule 6 in my book, out of my 6 rules, are going to come into play big time here, okay? Rule 5 is if you don't ask, you don't get. Plain simple. So don't be afraid to ask questions and ask for their help. Ask for them to step into your business, okay? So you might have to give away if you have. Let's assume your business is a company, okay? You're going to form a company. We talked about that and how to start your business the other day. So you're going to give away a few shares in your company, and in order to entice your family, friends, and your associates to jump in with you, you're probably going to have to do what I call the first in, first out basis. So you formed this company, you maybe formed it yourself, or you hired what I call a budget lawyer who's going to work with you to form a company for you. You can offer to give them some shares in your company, and what I call was some cash is the first in, first out basis. So if they put X dollars in, what you're saying to them is, I put X dollars in, you're going to put X dollars in, but you're going to get your dollars back first when we're profitable. And so they've got an idea of there's an entry and there's an exit point. And this is really important. And I'm going to say that again, there's an entry and an exit point, because most people, even your dear family, they're going to say, okay, I'm loaning you or I'm investing, however you want to structure it. It could be a loan. It could be buying shares. They want to know at what point in time in the process are they going to be able to see realization on at least their funds coming back. If they put in $50,000, when can they see $50,000 coming back before they ride along for a piece of the profit? And what I like to do, I always say, look, let's pay the seed money back to the people that put it in. So because it's my business and I'm running it, I'm going to take my money out last, but I'm going to pay all of you guys back first, your amount of your investment. Then I take my investment back. Now we share the profits based on whatever formula we've arrived at. Does that sound like a fairly straightforward, simple plan there?
Oh yeah, very
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. I almost feel also as you're talking to your family, your friends, and business associates, and I feel this probably will go, like, we'll probably get into this, but you're really honing your pitch, I think, and you're honing your idea and talking it out, because I think everybody needs an elevator pitch, right? Especially
Yeah.
when you do go and look beyond your family, friends, and business associates. So that makes it's very straightforward. I like how you're laying it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Eric, you and Larry have run across this in your lifetime too, when you guys have started ventures and movies and all the like. How do you get somebody to step with you and walk down the path of your dream? It's important that they do, because most of us don't come from a trust fund where we have endless
Yeah.
source of money to help us start whatever business we want. Would that be the case? Would be nice, but every business I started, I didn't have money from anybody. I had to start with my own money, and then I brought people in from a variety of formulas. And today we're going to talk about actually each of my businesses. I talked to family and friends when I started, some of my businesses. The next one I'm going to bring up is a private placement memorandum. Okay. This is fairly easy to do. It follows the 1933, 1934 SEC rules. There are people out there that are skilled lawyers and accountants that can draft this for you. It's not necessarily expensive, but what it allows you to do and your team is you now file this document with the SEC. You can now talk to people that are accredited investors or sophisticated investors, and you can talk to them about your project. Okay, you can't run marketing programs in the online services and newspapers, as it were, because there's some restrictions on how you make contact with these people. But there's still opportunities to talk to people about this package, and you can get this clarified through your lawyer. They'll work you through the details if you go there. But a private placement memorandum is going to allow you to have a document that you can send to people that can include the pitch of your business concept, but also the legalities of and the risks associated with somebody who wants to invest. And these documents are useful for people that are going to be putting in more than 25, 50, $100,000 in a chunk, because it's going to spell out what they're going to get and what their opportunities are going to be. And I like this, and I use this document. I use a limited liability, or an LLC, limited liability corporation here, because it's basically a form of a partnership. Okay, so I form an LLC, and I've used this in my mining ventures a couple of times. So there's a limited number of units available. It says exactly how many units out of 100% are going to be sold in the market to people that you've contacted, or they've contacted you. All the rules and regulations are spelled out nicely. They know exactly what they're getting. But the nice thing about the LLC is these people don't have to sell their shares like people investing in a junior mining company to get any of their money back. They just hold on to their units, but the LLC will flow through. Initially, it'll flow through losses as you're starting your business. And then when you turn the corner into profitability, then you flow through their percent. If they own 2%, they get 2% of the profits in perpetuity. And they don't have to sell any of their stock to get their money back. So the private placement memorandum works very well. It's easy to understand. It's easy to put together. It's not a big cost. And again, your CPA or your lawyer can walk you through the steps. And I talk about this in my book, Step Off the Porch and Start Your Own Business. And it's a way to raise, $2, $3, $4, $5 million, depending on the size of the business you're starting. And it's been very helpful for me, starting my mining projects. I'm going to open the floor to the two gentlemen and ask if they have any questions.
Well, I for one am quite, it's what it is. Big, and I for one am very surprised that there's even a name for an official document to look, or to actually send out to look for an investment opportunity. Because, and of course, as an independent filmmaker, as an independent anything, I think you really, obviously some people may know this, maybe a lot of people don't, but when you're first starting out, you do go to friends, family, everybody that you can talk to, and then you just make your own little contract about, for this amount of money, I'm giving you this percentage. And I really didn't know that there was any kind of formal, and even through the SEC.
Yep.
And what is, for people that don't know?
Oh,
that's
sorry, the Security Exchange Commission in the USA. There's one in Canada. They basically set down the rules and regulations and guidelines as to what you can do when you're trying to legally procure and solicit funds from the public. There's ways to do that. And let me say this very clearly and succinctly. You do want to follow these rules, because you don't want to step across the line with the SEC. The IRS, a great group, and they do a great job. And, when you offend them, they get really upset. But the SEC, they got a whole nother level of don't do. So please, it pays to talk to a CPA and pays to talk to a lawyer about this, even if it's the PPM you're going to use. We're going to jump into the next thing here very shortly.
Yeah.
That I used in my public company. So I'm going to jump right in there. But yeah, there's a good amount of opportunity here for people in the mining business, and so on and so forth. And
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Eric.
I just got to know, I have heard of angel investors for years, and I have no clue what that is.
Okay. Eric, Larry, I'm going to talk about angel investors. I'm going to talk about venture capital funds too, but I'm going to put something before that. I just want to finish off where I was talking about an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, using a PPM, a private placement memorandum. And Larry was explaining that, he didn't know that there was such a product out there. And in your film industry, it certainly lends itself well to your film industry as it does to junior mining companies. So it's something that I touch on in my book, discuss it at length. Actually, I have used it. I have personal experience with it in both of my mining companies. I've got 2 more mining companies that'll be using the same program. I'm actually being offered a 5th mining product on next Monday. That's just up the valley from where we are. And if we go ahead, we'll use the same structure. So it works well. But what we mentioned in the second podcast, as we talked about corporate structures, there's C corps, there's S corps, there's partnerships, there's sole proprietorships, there's other things you can use to raise money. So I'm going to come back to your answer or your question in a sec, Eric, but I'm first going to jump and say the third way most small people can raise some funds, and please don't laugh at me, because I was told many times in my third venture in the book that it just wasn't possible. I took over a small public company, and they call them public shells. Technically, you can't have a legal shell because it has to have some form of business inside it. But there in Canada and the United States, there are public shells that will allow somebody to back their business into it, their business idea into it, as long as you have, the credentials you need to show that, your business is going to be what you say it's going to be. The market is going to be similar to what you think the market's going to be. And through this public vehicle and filings that, again, your CPA and your lawyer can help you with, it's not that difficult. I did this in my third venture. I had 3 software products, and I took over a public vehicle. It was based in Florida, was an OTC BB fully reported company, and we put my products in there, and the stock traded on the stock market. We were able to file documents to raise funds. It's not an unlimited amount of funds, but based on the value of your business that you're putting in, the business concept you're putting in, it's an opportunity. Now, that's not going to apply to a good number of people that are going to be starting businesses. And I would suggest, of the 5 million business licenses that are granted every year in your country, probably a handful, percentage-wise, less than 5% are going to try to avail themselves of a public vehicle. But it's still there. Don't rule it out. Like, if you've got a great business idea that's going to be more than one location to start with, it's going to have some significant impact. And it could be, it could be a digital product. It could be a digital service. It doesn't have to be a brick and mortar. Public shells are there. Public vehicles are there. And once again, CPA, lawyer, you can work through all that with them, but they're not that expensive to start. And there's some lower level public vehicles available in Canada and the United States to help small businesses get started, whether you're a film industry or an oil company or a gold company or somebody that manufactures tires. They're there to help you get started, and you just have to work through those regulations. Not for everybody. I'm going to say that right now. Now I'm going to jump into the fourth way that most small businesses get going, and what I call it your personal funds. Okay, so Eric, your question was angel investors. I'm going to throw in venture capital funds at the same time. So your personal funds, you can go and get a bank loan, absolutely. And the banker's going to say to you, hi, my bank's not a risk taker. So you want to borrow $1 million to start your business, we'll entertain that, but we're going to need about $1.3 million from you in somewhat liquid, touchable security. So if you're putting your house up, which I've done a number of times, I've sold my house and put all the money into various projects a couple of times as well. So you're going to have assets to get a bank loan. So bankers aren't risk takers. If they're risk takers, their banks don't do too well. But it's not to rule out bank loans. A lot of people will say, like, I'm probably a little bit more interested in taking risks than a lot of people when they're starting out. People that I've spoken to in the last 6 months, as my book was coming out, and I have to say this now, the launch of my book is coming out on October 27th, and there's a lot of pre-launch marketing going on right now for Step Off the Porch and Start Your Own Business, or 6stepbiz.com, the number 6, STEPBIZ.com. Angel investors, venture capital funds, Eric, they're going to ask for a couple of things. do you have any revenue in your business today? If you have a contract that's coming that says you're going to get X dollars on delivery of your product, you now have something to talk about with the venture capital funds or angel investors, because they're not in the habit of putting money up to support your business until it's far enough down the road they can see a fairly prompt return. Secondly, are there any assets in this business that you have? In other words, do you have a trademark? Do you have a patent? Do you have manufacturing equipment that you personally own, you put into your business so you can make the widgets or gadgets that you're going to be making? So angel investors will talk to you, but you're going to have almost as much requirements with an angel investor as you would with the banker. Angel investors have a bit more risk appetite than your banker will have, and venture capital funds will be the same. Now, some VC funds actually have designed their products for small businesses. I mean, I get phone calls every 3 months from two organizations that keep asking me, do you want to borrow some money from us? Blah, blah, blah. And I've said, well, thank you for the offer, but we're self-funded because I used a PPM in an LLC. Sorry. And anyway, so the angel investor is an opportunity. Is it going to be easy for most small businesses, Eric? No, because unless you have assets, cash flow that's coming or very near term, bankable accounts receivable. In other words, if you forward sold the rights to a movie that you gentlemen have made, which I understand you guys have just made one recently, if you forward sold the rights to that for some of the revenue stream, and there's something documenting that, you can use that to help facilitate some funding. But when I talk about personal funds, I like to use the analogy where, I'm going to put $100,000 or $200,000 of my own money into this venture. I want at least $600,000 to $800,000 from other people. Okay, I want to lever my 200 grand 3 to 4 to 1. Okay, and I'll circle back to what I said before: the first in, first out. Okay, you're allowed to bring in, if I have a small C corp that I just incorporate for $500 in the state of Wyoming, which I really like, and I use a registered agent there. In most states, you're allowed to bring in between 35 to 50 other people to your private company, as long as you know them and you're having a conversation with them. You're not advertising in a public space, because that requires SEC clearance. But if you know these people and you've got your company structured, your lawyer can facilitate the transfer of shares to those people for X dollars that they want to put in. But I always try to lever, if I've got 200 grand into the start of a venture, I want at least 800 grand from other people. So now we have $1 million to get this venture up and off the ground. Okay. Now, not all ventures are going to need $1 million. I was talking about somebody just the other day, and they're opening a restaurant at a truck stop that I have to drive through every time I go to my mine. And they think they can do it for $70,000. And I was like, that's fantastic. But you're going to have an opportunity to create the door so other people can come and help you as you're starting your restaurant. I had that conversation with those people. So angel investors can work, venture capital can work, but you're going to have tangible assets, very near accounts receivable or revenue coming in to use those. Otherwise, you're going to have to use your own funds. You can go to the bank, you can go to your friends, you can do first in, first out. You can lever your money that you're putting in against the money that the other people are putting in. And your elevator pitch that you referred to, Larry, earlier is my rule 6. When you're talking to somebody brand new or your family and friends, you have 15 seconds to draw the picture in their mind of what it is you're going to do, the big picture. And as soon as you see the check mark in their eyes and click, you've got 30 seconds to seal the deal. Okay, you got 30 seconds to backfill in all the important details of what you're going to do with their money. Okay. And within 45 seconds, they're mentally, whether they say it or not, within 45 seconds, people have said, I'm in, I'm out. They may talk to you for 10 more minutes, but they're out.
Right.
They talk to you for 5 more minutes, they could well be in and they're writing a check. You had a question.
Right.
Go ahead, Larry.
This all sounds, 2 things. This sounds like every episode of Shark Tank. right?
Yes.
A-
Yes.
and but this, I think this is where the rubber really hits the road,
Yes.
because this is where you step over that line to go, how much do I believe in myself, my project, and what I'm doing to get this project towards the funding goal, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes. Yes.
how realistic and how honest do or does excuse me, does the business owner, the prospective business owner, have to look at themselves and go, how much am I willing to do what I need to do to get this done?
Well, that's probably the most important question before they launch their business that they're going to have to answer to themselves. They can talk to their partner, they can talk to their wife or their husband, their family and friends. But at the end of the day, when you walk out, and I use this analogy, you walk out on that diving board over the pool,
Yeah.
before you jump in, you better figure out, how much you willing to encounter to see your dream succeed. The 4 other rules in my book, rule number 4 is once you jump off that diving board, never quit. And there was a gentleman that I worked for years and years and years ago. He was a successful gentleman. He owned a big chunk of a real estate franchise. And he told me uncategorically, he just said, if you ever quit, your dream dies with you. Nobody's going to pick it up and run with it. So if you're trying to build a business, move your venture along to the next level, if you're not willing to go the extra distance, don't expect anybody else to do it for you. I'm not saying you don't have people that help you. I'm not saying those people are not extremely necessary, because nobody can win a game by themselves. There's always other players on the field. But you have to say to yourself, I'm going to go the distance to make sure that this happened. I touch on this in my book. My 4 ventures, each of my 4 ventures had a situation called expect the unexpected. Things happen that no matter what you think you have planned for in your business plan, stuff comes up and you go, holy cow, never expected to have to deal with this issue in this business today. So in order to get past that, you just have to have the conviction that the only thing I don't have tomorrow is today. If tomorrow's got more problems, I can fix those problems tomorrow. But if I'm not willing to put the effort in today and I get to tomorrow and I haven't resolved anything today, I've wasted a day. Okay. Yeah. And in some business situations, if you waste a few days in a row, maybe your business won't be there to work on. So, work first, play later is rule 2 in my book. We touched on that. So, yeah. Eric, did I answer your question on angel investors and venture capitalists satisfactorily?
Yes, you did, very much.
Okay, perfect. They're out there. There's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines looking for new businesses, new ventures, new ideas, whether it's digital, whether it's brick and mortar, whether it's a blend of, here's a storefront, but this is a product that can be sold online. It's all there. You just have to find out how to tap into it. But Larry, your question was, you have to synthesize down to the shortest description of what you're trying to do in your business, so it's easy to convey to somebody else. If there's a lot of ifs and ands and, the sun has to shine on Tuesday and you got to be wearing a green raincoat for something to happen, you're going to lose most people. Okay.
Right.
That's how the Income Tax Act is typed. You get a deduction on this day if 14 things happen, okay, because nobody can remember the first 13, but they do that for a purpose. But when in a business situation, you got to boil it down to one sentence. This is what I'm trying to do. This is who I think is going to buy it. And this is the amount of money I think I need to start. That's it in a nutshell. Now, once you've explained that, now you start working through your group. And here's the other thing about levering your money. So I put 200 grand in and I get Steve to put 200 grand in. We're now going to go talk to Mary, but Steve knows Mary. And Steve is my ally because he's already got skin in the game with me. Now we're going to talk to Mary and see if it fits her. investment risk portfolio idea. Okay. And that's how you can work through your family and friends and associates. And everybody, if everybody understands that they're going to get paid at the same time, I use the pizza analogy. You have a massive, big, large, super large pizza. Nobody gets paid before somebody else. In my businesses, I don't take salary out. I get paid when everybody else gets paid on distributions. And everybody I've talked to in these businesses, they love that. They go, you know, like most other people, these little mining companies, the executive, you know, he doesn't even have to be productive. He's making too much money as executive. I take nada. I take zip. Okay. I cover my own expenses until we're in production. And then in production, I get my percent just like anybody else. And that's fair. So anyway, so let me just recap. You got to lever your family and friends. We talked about today to start for the money you need for your business. There's vehicles out there, private placement memorandums, use an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp. I like the LLCs, even partnerships will work, okay? There's small public shells. There's a lot of them available. You got to check into them because some of them have a history of too many skeletons in the closet. You don't want to work on them, but if you can clean them up, they're valuable because you can raise money this year, next year, and the year after if you do it correctly. And last, your personal funds. Make your personal funds work for you as best you can. Lever them as best you can. Use the first in, first out rule. Bring the people in. You can have up to 35 new members that you don't know join that little company you have legally in most states. You can confirm that with your lawyer and your CPA. But that allows you to know that there's a marketable way to go and get the capital you need to start your business. Even if you're a single guy like me, when I was starting my business, there was nobody around. Nobody gave me any money. It was my idea. It was my risk. I started these things with $10 in my own pocket and grew it from there. And I've done 4 of them. Step off the porch and start your own business at sixstepbiz.com. The new book comes out on October 27th. We're going to have 2 more podcasts very shortly. We're going to talk about what I call a snap business. Right after this, we're going to report number 4. And in 5 minutes, I'm going to create and walk through the 6 steps of what the new business is. I actually had to do this to help facilitate the sales of another product. So that's number 4. And then number 5, we're going to talk about marketing. And I cover that in all of my ventures in my book because you have to be a successful marketer to be able to generate the cash flow to grow the business. I'm going to talk about marketing and then when it's time to sell. So that's podcast number 5. So this is number 3. I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you to the audience. Please get a hold of me through my book or my website. I have a book buyback guarantee. If you start your business, you use my book and it fails, heaven forbid, you send me the proof of purchase and a few details on your business, I'll give you your money back because I'm that sure my book can help you get started. Secondly, I've got an Ask Brian section where you buy my book, send me the answers to the first 3 questions everybody's going to have. What's your product and service? Who's going to buy it? And how are you going to fund it? You send me those answers and I will get back to you and we'll start the communication. I want to engage with you. I want you to be successful. We need more entrepreneurs in your country and my country because they create the majority of new jobs. And that's how everybody in the circle is better off. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to say, Eric and Larry, thank you again. If you have any questions, jump on me now. Otherwise, we'll go to the next pod.
Well, really quick. When you get to the point of angel investing, and I think we can talk about this in the next couple of episodes too, if needed, but where do people go? Because obviously the first place to go is to look at the internet, but we all know the internet has tons of stuff and places that aren't really real.
They're not real. Yes.
Right.
Okay. The first rule here. Angel investors, venture capital funds, anybody that you're working with, if it sounds too good to be true, stop for a second and look at the email you just got. And if the email's from such and such a company that's a capital company or an investing company, take the time to phone that company and ask, does so-and-so work there? Who's the chairman? Who's the CEO? Who owns this company? You can do searches through lawyers or registered agents to find out who is involved in a company in most states. Okay, so you can get the background on that. Secondly, if they ask you to send money for any reason to facilitate the funding, whether it's angel investors or venture capital, you don't give them money ever. Okay, and if you're giving them money and their bank account is not domiciled in your country, or the name on the bank account doesn't dovetail with the name they're using in their business, don't send them any money. Okay, angel investors give you money, you don't give them money. I've seen this, I've heard this, I've run across this. Okay, so that's my little freebie right there for everybody, and I think I touch on that in my book too, some of the things that I've had to encounter.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, pretty straightforward too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously one of the most important things is getting the gas for the engine to go. And talking about really quickly, I know we're trying to wrap up, but your book buyback guarantee, honestly, the people that just stop the episode right here and go back and listen to really what you essentially said that you have to do your elevator pitch, that's what they're going to be sending you. And they can reach you. And all the links are in the description. That's amazing.
Yes,
so
they can
awesome.
they can say, hey, I just graduated university, or I'm a 48-year-old mother with 3 children. I don't have a partner. I need to generate some more income, but I think I have a business I can start as a side hustle, evenings, possible weekends. How do I do that? Okay, send me what your product and service is going to be, who's going to buy it, how are you going to fund it. Send me those 3 answers when you buy my book. I'll start the communication with you. Trust me. I mean, I'm going to charge you for more answers. It might be a box of cookies or something, I don't know, but we'll have more conversation than just 3 questions, because every person I can help start their business builds that circle. Okay, and that works for me because they're going to tell somebody, hey, this guy with the book, he wasn't just selling a book. He wants me to be successful. And so if you're thinking of this, buy his book. So it works for me and it works for you. That's how this is supposed to go. And I'm happy to do that.
Yeah, I love the circle. It's a circle, ever growing circle of people that you can trust and work with.
Yep.
I can't wait for the next episode. Wow, it's going to be cool. Eric, whenever you're ready, you could take us out, my friend.
Well, Brian, thank you again for all the information. And hey, everybody, it's time to get off the porch and start your business.
Thank you.